angels. Oh, darlings, I just came out of the closet for Pride. You know, I wouldn't say I'm exactly a lesbian, darlings, because, well, I'm not that site specific. I'm everything, my angels. I just love it all. And why not love it all when you can't really have any of it? Although I did see in the newspaper today, darlings, that our wonderful Dr. Dimitri, who heads this sort of health and sexuality of New York City, there was a big article in the New York Times today, darling, saying we aren't supposed to kiss, but perhaps we should all just drill holes in our doors, darlings. That we have to get kinky in our sexuality during COVID, darlings. You have to, if you want to survive, you've got to indulge yourself through a glory hole. I said my anarchistic vagina will not fit my darling friends in San Francisco, the vaginas of anarchy. I don't think I can get my anarchic vagina through a glory hole, darlings, but I will try. I shall try and try again, my angels. Now, here we are. It's our 14th week. 14 weeks, darlings, of the corona of Miss Rona, darlings, which I'm not going to do the math. I'm not going to embarrass myself again, darlings, agains. But of course, many of us, as you found out last week, we left the house. We're all leaving the house to go and protest and for this uprising, darlings. And so this week, I decided really, that we were going to have an afternoon, a happy hour of poetry and pride. And I'm having a midsummer gin with some muddled cucumber and club soda that our darling David Sikorsky made right just before the show. And so today we're featuring the music and words of three wonderful, wonderful artists. One is Bambi Lake, a legendary performer from San Francisco. Another one is Essex Hemphill, who is one of our great American poets. And we are doing a number by Nina Simone, who, although not necessarily a queer person, was certainly a very influential and inspiring person that we couldn't leave out today. We have to do one of her songs, darlings. And so we're going to start out with a celebration of romance and love with a song written by Bambi Lake entitled Viking Dan, about a wonderful sex worker she knew many years ago. So here's to all of our sex workers out there who may be having trouble drumming up business right now, but get yourself a drill, darlings. Get yourself a hoe. Open for business, darlings. That's what we're hoping to be very soon. While everybody else is opening for business, we've got to find our openings for business. All right, lovers, let's do this number. Viking Dan was occasionally arrested for soliciting on Market Street. Sometimes he slept in my room on Church Street. When I lived with Hibiscus and the Angels of Light, I hung my walls with 1920s beaded gowns while Viking was off somewhere strolling downtown. Around my bed I hung a tent of lavender chiffon. With his classic Teutonic live young body, long blonde hair and light beard, he'd stare out the window gazing up at the skies with Dorian gray blue eyes, detached, daydreaming light blue eyes. This was the fairyland I had searched for in my childhood. I'm starting to live my life as a girl, and Viking understood. we're starting to read Genet and Cocteau. Viking was a terrible, terrible flirt, wearing that tatty old sailor shirt. Viking was the first in a rather long line of unattainable men to enter my life. You see, Viking never slept with anyone. With his classic Teutonic, lithe young body, long blonde hair and light beard, he'd stare out the window, gazing up at the skies, Victorian grey blue eyes, detached, daydreaming, light blue. Our old Victorian was always littered with cardboard sets, painted and glittered, swans and planets and waterfalls, big duckies, bunnies, gods and skulls. And then so many years rolled by, I saw him in the Tenderloin on SSI, handsome and vacant Viking Dan, hanging out in pool halls with older men. Never became a male model with your face so young and pretty. I guess that just like me, you were just poor white trash from Redwood City. With his classic Teutonic, lithe young body, long blonde hair and light beard, he'd stare out the window, gazing up at the sky, Victorian grey blue eyes, detached, daydreaming, light blue. Darlings, Bambi Lake, Viking Dan. All of the, what's the line about falling in love with unattainable young men? Darling, everyone's practically unattainable at this point. But we will get there, darlings. I'm about to do a little segment about a wonderful poet. Years and years ago, probably about 30 years ago, maybe slightly less, I was in San Francisco where they had this wonderful film festival, the Frameline Festival, darlings, which is LGBTQIA plus festival. And one of the films I saw was entitled Tongues Untied by Marlon Briggs, which was this wonderful, wonderful film about the black gay male experience. And then, of course, the other day, I was watching this wonderful, wonderful speech that was put online by the star of Pose. What's his name, darling? Billy Porter, darlings. Billy Porter made the most wonderful, fantastic speech. Go to Billy Porter's Instagram or Facebook or whatever and watched the most amazing speech. And he took, people to task. He really laid it out there. And one of the things that he talked about was the sort of oppression that we experience even within our own races, if you're a minority within a minority. And that's what Tongues Untied was about. And it was about a celebration, unless we are all free, none of us are free, darlings. And we have so many struggles to deal with, even today, especially today. Now's the time, darlings. And so I was deeply moved by the beauty of the poetry of Essex Hemphill back then, and I had the opportunity to meet him and see him read. And so when I recorded my very first record, solo record, Dendrophile, the lead track on that was a poem that I set to music called American Wedding, which was by Essex Hemphill. And I contacted the Essex Hemphill estate and was given permission to use that song. And of course, this was before the right to marry had been given to the gay people, to all of us. And this was, of course, something that I was never particularly strong on gay marriage. I felt like it should just be a civil union for everybody and leave marriage to the religious fanatics, darlings. But of course, everybody understands marriage in a different way. And now I believe everybody should have the right to do the same thing. And so this song is about sexuality and expression and about freedom. And it was written during the last pandemic. And so most of Essex Hemphill's writing was done during the AIDS crisis. And so this is a sort of an intersectional poem that has much to do more than just marriage. And I think it somehow resonates again today. And it's called American Wedding by Essex Hempill. In America, I place my ring on your cock where it belongs. No horseman bearing terror, no soldier of doom will sweep in and rip us apart. They're too busy looting the land to watch us. They don't know we need each other critically. They expect us to call in sick, watch television all night, die by our own hands. They don't know that we are becoming powerful. Every time we kiss, we invent the new word coming. Like a rose whispers before blooming, I vow to you, I give you my heart, a safe house. I give you promises more than milk, honey, liberty. I assume you will always be a free man with a dream. In America, place your ring on my cock where it belongs. Long may we live to free this dream. Essex Hemphill. Darlings, There's been so much death and destruction and mayhem, murder of trans women of color and black men, and we are starting an anti-racial war, darlings, to combat racism in this country and in the world. We are all the same, darling, but we're all different, and we have to celebrate the differences, darlings. We don't need to focus on everybody being the same. We need to focus on respecting the differences. And I was reading more of Essex Hempill's poems in this wonderful book, Ceremonies, which I encourage you all to find and to purchase. And I found this amazing, amazing poem called When My Brother Fell for Joseph Beam. So I went to Joseph Beam's. I Googled Joseph Beam, darling, and I had, of course, heard of his work, but I didn't know about Joseph Beam. Now, Joseph Beam, and this is taken from the website, was an African-American author and activist who secured his place in GLBT literary history as the editor of In the Life, a groundbreaking anthology of works by Black, same-gender loving men. And one source, I'm just cutting to the highlights that sort of sprung off the page to me, darlings. One source of inspiration for Beam was the work of Black lesbian feminist writers such as Audre Lorde, who was, Callan Lorde was named after Audre Lorde. That's one of our health clinics in New York City. Audre Lorde said, "I dream of black men loving and supporting other black men and relieving black women from the role of primary nurturers in our community." Oh, he wrote this, darling, inspired by Audre Lorde. "I dream of black men loving and supporting other black men and relieving black women from the role of primary nurturers in our community. For too long we have expected from black women that which we could only obtain from other men. I dare us to assume that we are worth wanting each other. Black men loving black men is the revolutionary act of the 80s. And I would say it is still a revolutionary act, my darlings. Beam died of complications related to AIDS in December of 1988, just 3 years shy of his 34th birthday, darlings. He accomplished so much, more than most of us will accomplish in our lives, by the age of 34 and died in the last pandemic. Though his life was brief, Beam's influence was far-reaching. He served as both an inspiration and as a mentor, promoting the idea that visibility is survival, my darlings. After his death, Beam's mother and his friend Essex Hemphill completed a second anthology of black gay men's writing, Brother to Brother, which was published in 1991, which Beam was working on when he died. Hemphill also remembered Beam in a memorial poem, When My Brother Fell. When my brother fell, I picked up his weapons and never once questioned whether I should carry the weight and grief. The responsibility he shouldered, I never questioned whether I could aim or be as precise as he. He had fallen, and the passing ceremonies marking his death did not stop the war. Standing at the front lines, flanked by able brothers who miss his eloquent courage, his insistent voice urging us to rebel, urging us to not fear embracing for more than sex, for more than kisses and notches in our belts. Our loss is greater than all the space we fill with prayers and praise. He burned out his pure life force to bring us dignity, to bring us a chance to love ourselves with commitment. He knew the simple spilling of seed would not be enough to bind us. It is difficult to stop marching, Joseph, impossible to stop our assault. The tributes and testimonies in your honor flare up like torches. Every night a light blazes for you in one of our hearts. There was no one lonelier than you, Joseph. Perhaps you wanted love so desperately and pleaded with God for the only mercy that he could spare. Perhaps God knew you couldn't be given more than public love in this lifetime. When I stand on the front lines now, cussing the lack of truth, the absence of willful change and strategic coalitions, I realize sewing quilts will not bring you back nor save us. It's too soon to make monuments for all we are losing, for the lack of truth as to why we are dying. Who wants us dead? What purpose does it serve? When my brother fell, I picked up his weapons. I didn't question whether I could aim or be as precise as he. A needle and thread were not among his things I found. Essex, Hemphill. And now, I'd like to do another number by Bambi Lake. It's perhaps my favorite song ever written, and it's called The Golden Age of Hustlers. San Francisco, long ago, I made my living hooking on Polk Street and the old black rose. My eye was always looking for some dumb man to pay my rent and some young man to love me. With so many heaven sent, I thank the stars above me. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but names can never hurt me. The queens and the hustlers of the red light zones never did desert me. The scent of men and prospectors, they drift up from the grub stake, where I shared so many cheeseburgers with my hustler husbands. In the olden days, the golden age of hustlers, the gold. I saw the best bodies of my generation sold, bartered, and destroyed by drugs and prostitution. Pretty queens on the corners and midnight cowboys in the doorways. If you want it, Daddy, get it here. It's a candy store in more ways than one. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but names can never hurt me. The queens and the hustlers of the red light zones never did desert me. Golden girls and boys on Mars, like chimney sweepers, come to dust. It's hard to find someone you can trust amidst the rhinestones and the rust. In the olden days, the golden age of hustlers. In the olden days, the golden age of hustlers. The prettiest boy I ever saw was San Jose Johnny the Libra. They don't make him like that anymore. Baby white-faced gentleman outlaw. Some of the boys became like kings and stayed down there forever. And some of the girls became like stars with money, clothes, and fancy cars. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but names can never hurt me. The queens and the hustlers of the red light zones never did desert me. Golden girls and boys almost like chimney sweepers come to dust. It's hard to find someone you can trust amidst the rhinestones and the rust. In the olden days, the golden age of hustlers. In the olden days, the golden age of hustlers. In the olden days, the golden age of hustlers. Bambi Lake, if you're out there, we're sending love from the House of Whimsy. And thank all of you. Now, darlings, we're not finished yet. Last week, if you were here, we didn't accept any tips. We asked everybody to donate to blackandpink.org, which is a wonderful institution who raises money to bail people out of jail and also to advocate for services within the prison system and to abolish the prison system, darling, which maybe we will do. It would be a wonderful thing to do, defund at least get rid of the private. Get rid of all of it, darlings. I don't know. And also, we have released on Friday a EP from Kiki and Herb of Whitey on the Moon, and we gave all of the profits for that to the Black Visions Collective, darlings. And as of this afternoon, we'd raised over $7,500 for the Black Visions Collective. So we were so thrilled to do that. But of course, mother has to eat and feed the kittens, darling. So this week we are accepting tips, if you have the tips to give, or you can go and contribute to either of the organizations I just mentioned. But if you feel like it and you'd like to chip in to keep the House of Whimsy afloat, darlings, we have it's a Venmo at Justin-Bond-20 and paypal.me/mixviv. Darlings, so go to my website, justinvivianbond.com. But we have a little bit more for you today, and I'm going to read a poem because we're doing poetry this week, darlings, to celebrate queer literature, of which there is a terrific amount of what I would call the best literature, darlings. But before I get on to that, I would like to say that next week, it's June 18th, we'll be here. Is that quite right? And on Juneteenth, the 19th, will be the next Klan rally celebrating the soon-to-be ex-president of the United States, darlings. They're having a rally, a MAGA rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma, darlings. Now, if you are not educated in your history, 99 years ago, there was a battle where white supremacists attacked an entire community of African Americans who had a very lovely home. They had built a wonderful town for themselves, and they went in and basically routed and murdered the entire town, destroyed an entire culture. And so the president has decided that his next rally, his first rally since the uprising, shall be in the very spot, in the very location, in the town where that slaughter took place. So I just want to say, my darlings, in a very simple way, that anyone you know who votes for President Trump, or anyone who supports them really, is unequivocally a racist who supports somebody who is inciting violence against the African American community, not to mention the trans community, and they are striving to take away our rights. But darlings, the bottom line is there is no excuse to vote for that man or anyone who supports him, and to say that you're not a racist is an absolute lie. You are a racist. And anybody who tells you differently, you tell them they are a racist, darling. Now, perhaps they don't care about being a racist, and many people obviously do not. But let's not kid ourselves. And if they say, oh, but it's about business or the economy, say that, these are greedy assholes, darling. They are greedy assholes, and they are shameful. So there is no reason to vote for that man unless you are a complete racist and a greedy asshole. And ladies and gentlemen, it's as simple as that. So it's clear. Assholes and greedy racists, vote for that jackass. So now I'm going to say a poem by Bambi Lake, a fun, whimsical one, called Provincetown, almost Fire Island. Ritzy titsy New England, lesbian bed and breakfasts, free quiche, Black Manhattan Marsha, who'd been at Stonewall, interviewed on national TV, the bottles flying around her. She arrived on the bus in full fairy tale drag. She said, I wanted to freak 'em out on the bus. Rubbing elbows with the Warhol and the Waters crowd, dancing on tables at the back door and the boat slip, the show and me a hit, Commercial Street packed with people, the 3 Degrees and the Sextolettes, Monty Rock the Third, getting dancing, bounding out of discos, rock the boat, don't rock the boat, baby. I slept with sexy East Coast punks. Cookie Mueller won a Halloween contest dressed as Sharon Tate with a bloody baby doll pinned to her stomach. Sand and sea, clam chowder, Holly Woodlawn was so sweet. She changed my life. Darlings, we'll get there again. And now we're going to finish with a number made famous by Nina Simone. And I don't know, I'm going to sort of see if I can do it. Ow, my darlings, my foot fell asleep. Maybe I will sit for it as long as I can. It's hard to do this. Oh my God. Yes, darlings. My foot's asleep and I had to switch the chair around so I can try and sing this. It's a ball buster. It's a ball buster, darlings. Put it through the hole, darling, and bust it. Darlings, put it through the hole and bust it. To putting it through the hole and busting it, darling, in the age of Miss Rona. Do what you can. Is there anyone still out there? Is this thing still on? Hello, darlings. We're going to do one more number. And then, of course, we'll be back next week, God willing, if we're all still alive, if they haven't sent the secret police to take us off and shoot us, darlings, which I had a dream happened the other night, darlings. Sleep. Sleep is for the weak, darlings, for the weak. Like me, who can't overcome the night terrors of this world, my darlings, for so many of us. Darling, here's to you and you, to all of the YouTubers and the Instagrams. And this song is called 22nd Century. There is no oxygen in the air. Men and women have lost their hair. faces, legs that stand, ghosts and goblins walk this land. When tomorrow becomes yesterday and yesterday becomes eternity. When the soul is gone and there are no more babies being born. When there is no one and there is everyone. When there is no one and there is everyone. Tomorrow will be the 22nd century. Tomorrow will be the 22nd century. Tomorrow will be the 22nd century. It will be, it will be, it will be. The 21st century was here and gone. And the 20th century was the dawn. In 1980, a plague struck the earth and bloodletting was a thing that was. 1988, men and women struck out for freedom. They said there was no reason, there was no cause. 1992 was ripe all the way. Guns and bugles blaring throughout the day. Right wing, left wing, middle of the road, backwinder, sidewinder, whiplash, backlash, liberation of women and everybody hanging their head low. Tomorrow will be the 22nd century. Tomorrow will be the 22nd century. Tomorrow will be the 22nd century. It will be, it will be, it will be. Prevention of cruelty to animals, liberation of animals, man and beast, flying and unflying, flying things, a liberation of poetry, love and life, sex, changing, changing, changing. Woman is man, man is woman, even your brain is not your brain. The heart is a plastic thing that can be bought. There are no more diseases that can be caught. One day man and woman woke up, they looked around and realized that they were truly their own God. That's the day man and woman found freedom. Man became his good, man became his evil, man became his God, man became as a devil. Hi, hi, hi. Tomorrow will be the 22nd century. Tomorrow will be the 22nd century. Tomorrow will be the 22nd century. It will be, it will be, it will be. Young woman with big dog living great big marvel of. Boy of 7, dying spring, by his lady fair a diamond ring. Wedding, 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 you know a wedding ain't the thing. Don't need no preacher, don't need no goddamn preacher man preaching. Give me your hand, take my hand, when we're together, that's the thing. For 7 years I've been told you would have your day, and now your day will go away. Tomorrow will be the 22nd century. Tomorrow will be the 22nd century. Tomorrow will be the 22nd century. It will be, it will be, it will be. Hi! hi, 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 hi. Darlings, make the 22nd century something worthwhile. Get out there, keep fighting, bring these motherfuckers down, raise the roof, and let's make this planet a habitable, wonderful, loving place for everyone, darling. Celebrate our differences. Don't try to be the same as anything or anyone. Live your life, glamour is resistance, rise up and be fabulous. Nobody loves you more than your Auntie Glam. We'll see you next week, my angels. Thank you to Nathan Carrera and David Sikowski. Cheers, my darlings. Farewell, my YouTubers, my darling angels. Goodbye, darlings. Whoa, there's my finger. Oh, my finger's not working. There it is.